Welcome to the podcast, A Drink with Derek. Follow comedian Derek Richards on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram, and don't forget to subscribe to his YouTube channel and watch all episodes of the podcast. Now grab a drink and join your host, Derek Richards.
Let your spirit start to soar, and you live as you've never lived.
What I'd like to do is explain the difference between us and all these other tenors. Here we go.
Yeah.
Let's see. How many of y'all have heard of the 12 Little Irish Tenors? Yeah, there you go.
Yeah, the Irish tenors, they're little bitty fellas.
Small.
They're like Shetland people.
Any questions? Good. When's the show start?
Oh, it makes it so much easier for us when the audience comes with their own material. Wow.
That was awesome.
Man, we're keeping that one.
Yeah.
Hey, it's A Drink with Derek. Welcome to the podcast. Derek Richards, your host here in Las Vegas with two very good friends of mine. I've been waiting for this. This is going to be fun on a number of different levels. These guys here, by the way, insanely talented. The three Redneck Tenors. We have two of them with us here today, Matt Lord and Blake Davidson. Jonathan Fruge, is that correct? I want to make sure I get the last name. Fruge, got it.
Fruge.
Yeah.
He is not with us. He is in jail. He should be out by
he's with Toulouse and Marie.
Yes.
his cats.
His cats. That's
He's
right.
with his two cats right now.
Yeah.
He will be joining the tour, though, by the way, coming to the Tropicana in Las Vegas at the Laugh Factory coming up August 2nd through September 1st. A month-long residency in Las Vegas. The three Redneck Tenors, going to be fantastic. I am honored and thrilled that you guys are coming to Vegas. I get to be on the show opening up for you. We had such a good time. The backstory of meeting you guys, first off, on a cruise ship, Celebrity Cruises.
That's right.
Years ago. And
A celebrity silhouette.
we ended up hanging out. You guys came to the comedy show. We hung out the next day, and we just had an absolute blast. Your show was fantastic. And before we get into that, because you guys, first off, where did you start? Where did you guys get this whole idea of the three Redneck Tenors? Matt is in Beverly Hills, California. Blake is in Dallas, Texas right now.
You're making it sound like I live here. I don't live in Beverly Hills.
They wouldn't let you live there.
No, they have some standards.
Yeah, the HOA would somehow step in and say something.
And by the way, the you guys, there's no you guys.
No.
There's just me guys.
That's right. He created the show.
Blake's been with me 12 years, but the show's been in existence for about 17.
Yeah.
Now, when did you put this together 17 years ago. What was the idea behind this?
because you only have, I don't know how long the show is. I'll cut it down to as quick as I can. I got called into a meeting for a theater that my wife started, a nonprofit called Look Performing Arts, and then the City of Grapevine American Heritage Foundation. They wanted to do a benefit. Huh?
Grapevine, Texas.
Grapevine, Texas. Sorry. Yeah. They called me in and wanted me to get some of my Broadway or opera buddies to come down and put on a benefit show to raise money for both Look Performing Arts and the American Heritage Foundation. But they really had no money. Like, they had $5,000, which to put on a full-blown musical production, that doesn't even pay for rights. You know what I mean? And they wanted costumes, and what they wanted me to do was damn Yankees, because they had some people that they knew that lived in the area that were on the Texas Rangers baseball team. I would name somebody famous on the Texas Rangers, but unfortunately, there's nobody famous on the Texas Rangers. You know, they did, though, this year make it into the finals of the Little League World Series. So they're doing really well. Next year, NCAA 2. That's what we're looking for. So anyway, I said, my friends, I can fly them out and they can stay with me and they'll do the show for me, for free. But you don't have enough for costumes, for rights. You don't have any money. Well, what could we do? And I go, well, we could do a concert. Have you thought of anything? And I said, if this was 17, 18 years ago, right in the middle of the big tenor craze, 3 famous tenors, 3 Irish tenors, Canadian tenors, Mo tenors, Mexican tenors, tenors with and without junk. So anyway, non-binary tenors, binary tenors, LGBTQRST tenors, tenors that only need 1 bathroom tenors, just on and on.
Gotcha.
And I said, well, I have an idea for a show, because I was just really bored of the whole tenor, and I'm a tenor, but I said 3 voice types just singing together, basically having a tenor off for an hour is boring. Because anything like, kind of like your act, when you tell the same joke over and over and over again, it just gets boring. You know what I mean? So anyway,
it wears
doing the same voice type over and over again is the Derek Richards of tenors. Okay,
exactly.
So anyway,
well placed.
So anyway,
can we still get Jonathan on here? We can easily get rid of Matt. We can make Matt go away.
Oh, trust me, it's been done.
Oh, now we got nothing but Matt. Oh.
You did the opposite actually of what you were supposed to.
That was horrible.
So anyway, the stupidest thing I could think of was 3 redneck tenors, and kill a tenor and replace him with a baritone, and then add his agent, the colonel. So the 3 redneck tenors was really 4 people, not all tenors, and they're rednecks, but they're really not rednecks. That's how the show title. So I literally am making my Metropolitan Opera debut. Drop a name. My Metropolitan Opera debut.
You should drop that name.
Yeah, but not on the inside. I was out front by the fountain, but I still was there. So anyway, I in my dressing room, I get a call from the mayor. We got the money approved, whatever it was, $5,000.
Mayor,
and the Redneck Tenors is scheduled to go on. And I said, there's no show. I go, I just told you it was an idea I had. I go, there's no show. Well, it opens in 5 weeks. I go, but there's no show. There's no idea. There's no people. There's no show.
So you came up with this just on a lark.
Just
and threw it at him, not even thinking that this was going to even happen.
Okay, let's put it to you this way. If you and I and Blake were spitballing, say we got a holding deal from CBS,
right?
And they said, come back with something. Yeah. This is us just sitting around a diner table going, hey, maybe we do the 3 redneck thing, or maybe we do 3 cops, or
right.
And then a week later, you call me and go, hey, man, they greenlit the redneck show. And I would go, what redneck show? That's exactly what it was like. Long story short, I put it together, and it was a hot mess. I had my friends come down. it's like sort of like you and me at a bar is what the show was. So it ran 3.5 hours of just blathering diarrhea coming out of our mouths, and most of it coming from me. And then a lot of music. So an agent saw us at this show and said, "Hey, man, I can put you in 35 cities tomorrow." And then the guy, Paul Beard, who's been a big supporter, just retired, ran the Smith Center in Vegas.
Yeah.
Said, "I want your show at Bass Hall." I'm still saying to everybody, but there's no show.
Now, what was Bass Hall? What was he involved with?
It's the big symphony hall in Fort Worth. It would be like playing the Smith Center.
Gotcha.
But the big room.
Oh, yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
2,400 seats.
"We got you, man. Tenors are booked at Bass Hall." I go, "You're saying it like there's a show. You're saying it like the Flintstones are real. Like they're going to come." So anyway, that being said, now that I had to kind of make a choice of, am I going to continue? I'd already been to opera for well over 25 years. And, opera's like the Ambien of entertainment. So this was actually fun, like I got to do, well, you're the one who talked me into doing stand-up later. Am I allowed to swear on your show?
Go for it.
Well, you said, quit being a pussy and just come and try and do stand-up, and you'll see how easy what I do is.
Yeah.
Which I realized my 5-minute, 15-minute set that you saw.
Yeah.
So anyway, put the show together. And then it just became kind of a success. America's Got Talent saw us. We ended up on America's Got Talent. I like to call us, we were top 10 losers. Everybody says finalist, but what is a finalist? It's a loser. Yeah.
Loser.
So it took off from there. And then Blake happened along. The first two guys, well, John, one of the guy on AGT, retired and started to run a theater. And so I had to hold auditions for a new baritone.
Yeah.
And I'm going to let Blake tell you about his audition story with me because it's the best. So anyway, that's how Blake and I met. He came and auditioned for me.
Okay.
But start with your brother because that's the better part.
Well, I knew that the guy that retired, John Wilkerson, that was on AGT, he'd been with the show for 3 years, and he decided to call it quits. He was a bit older, and it was a lot. Being on the road is pretty tough, and he wanted to direct and do theater stuff. So he left, and I happened to find out about it. And but when he had originally auditioned 3 years before I found out about it, my brother also found out about it, but didn't mention it to me until later, and he went to audition for it. But he couldn't go anyway. He's a dentist, and so he couldn't have gone anyway.
He told me that, by the way, after he auditioned for me. I go,
yeah, he's a really good singer.
Well, I can't do it.
Yeah,
I'm a dentist, and I go, then why are you here?
Yeah, but he's a really good singer. I mean, you probably would have hired him, if he could have gone because he's a good singer. But so then
wait,
John,
why your brother?
Why your brother's a douchebag?
Yeah.
Yeah.
now I can't tell.
Tell him how angry you were.
So John ended up doing the show for about 3 years, did AGT in Vegas and all that kind of stuff. And then when John decided to retire, I found out about it. So I sent in a recording because online there I saw the audition notice. It said send a recording of you doing something in Italian, this and that. So I sent it all in, and Matt called and set up an audition. And so we set it audition for like a week after our phone conversation. So I decided I was going to really do it up. So I got my best redneck outfit and got one of those temporary tattoo things you just stick on your arm and all sorts of stuff. So I went there, and I got to the theater, and the place is locked up, and there was nobody there. Yes. So it's June in Texas. It was about 105 degrees outside. The theater had no awning on the porch. I'm just standing there in the hot sun, and there's nobody there. So I sit in this chair that's there, and all of a sudden this huge truck pulls up, and this guy's there, and he goes, "Hey, are you Blake?" I said, "Yeah." And he goes, "Come help me. I got to lift something." So we got.
No, you wouldn't help me pick up scaffolding.
That's right. It was scaffolding. We went down to some scaffolding yard. I don't know where you get scaffolding. And I helped him put some stuff in the truck, and we took it. And then we went back and had the audition. And you know,
that was part of the audition, though.
Yeah. He wanted to see if I was willing to do it, or if I just told him to, go to hell, I'm out of here. So I went inside, and the other two guys that were in the show, the Colonel and Alex Bumpus, came, and they just had me sing a few things,
right?
That they knew I was going to need to do in the show, and luckily my training had sort of prepared me for that audition, and then we just sat around and talked, because so much of our show is about how each personality meshes with the other ones. It's not one of those where you can just one night so and so is playing Billy,
right,
and then another night somebody else is playing. That's not how it works. It's a dynamic that has developed over years, and you get a very comfortable nature with one another, and that's what makes the show enjoyable. Besides the singing, there's so much more to it besides that. And so they just wanted to sit around and talk to me, just see if I had the right sense of humor, see if I had the right personality. Matt, my favorite thing Matt ever said, though, was he sat me down after I sang. He said, okay, that's all good. And he said, all right, for this show, if you are offended by anything, and I mean anything, this is not the show for you. And I said, no, that's not really a problem. I don't have delicate sensibilities or anything.
Right.
So we chatted for a while, and then I asked him when he could when he thought he was going to know who he was going to hire, when he could let me know.
And wait, I'm going to let you finish, but
yeah.
I'm going to preference this with, in opera.
Oh yeah.
Pretty much everybody's a dick who holds auditions.
Yeah.
Like they establish, even worse than club owners, they establish, I'm in charge.
Yeah, their dominance.
There's a million
it's a power
singers
play.
I can get instead of you.
Yeah.
And so it starts at the audition, where even if they know they're going to hire you, I'll call you in a few days and let you know.
Yeah.
So I pulled I'll call you in a few days, but go ahead and finish. So what did I say to you? I said, I'll call you in a few days.
Yes, he said, I'll call you in a few days, or I'll let you know in a few days, one way or the other. I've got to listen to some other people. And so we just started talking some more. We were having a great time. I mean, the other guys were great. We were laughing our heads off.
Did you know?
Yeah, we were having a blast. And then at one point, Matt just goes, fuck it, I'll just hire you now. And that was it.
But because I swore to God to myself that I would never be the dickish audition guy.
Right.
And then as he was written, I already knew I was going to hire him. I was going, you're just being a dick.
Yeah.
Just fucking hire him,
Yeah.
And so
because it was obvious that, we thought the same, we laughed at the same stuff.
Right.
I knew all the music that they needed me to know. I knew the styles they needed me to do. So I think it was apparent to everybody, that I really enjoyed being around them, and they seemed to think, that I had the right personality for it. And so there was no point in going on from there. So he hired me on the spot.
Well, now you had, Matt, your training goes back to, you went to Juilliard, and you, again, performed at your background in this, because because when people see the show and they see the thing, it says 3 Redneck Tenors, and the poster, the billboards are hysterical. I mean, it's you 3.
Yeah.
And you got mullets, and you're wearing tuxedos, and there's a trailer in the background, and it's got the Las Vegas sign. And so when people see this, it's like, okay, is this some kind of a little goofy blah, blah, blah? They're not really what they're coming across as. And when I tell people, I'm like, look, no, these guys are really, really insanely talented. I mean, amazing singers. And so, no, seriously. And that,
but that's what makes it funny, Derek.
Yeah.
I mean, you really taught me, you and Kathleen Dunbar kind of mentored me that first week I did at Jokesters as a stand-up. Our show's funny because it's a juxtaposition of the singing and then the goofy comedy.
Yeah.
And I don't have to walk the same tightrope you walk as a stand-up. If a joke bombs, and I handle about 90% of the jokes on stage, but if a joke bombs, I know we're singing in 2 minutes and they're going to forget about the shitty joke I just told.
Right.
When you're doing stand-up, again, I've seen your act. You have to follow your shitty joke. You have to follow your shitty joke with
more shitty jokes.
And
you got to have a whole arsenal of shitty jokes.
I have a ton of them. Let me tell you something. Those arsenal of shitty jokes work out perfect.
Yeah.
At the
giving you a career.
At the bowling alley gigs I do in Elko, Nevada.
Yeah.
on a routine basis.
Oh.
No, but that's if the singing. I'm not to use a big word that Trump has never used, narcissist. To think that it's my comedy that has made this show so successful for this long. It's both. The singing, if it wasn't first rate, it would just be a horrible hillbilly comedy show.
Yeah.
So
well, and you trained at Juilliard. You sang at the New York Met.
Yes, and I've sung San Francisco Opera, LA Opera, Houston, Chicago, Broadway, blah 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 blah.
Now, Blake, your training.
University of North Texas.
Okay.
Yeah, which is
he was also in the Grinder Men's Chorale. And I got to tell you,
not a lot of people know. They have a
not a lot of people know.
They're
excellent singers.
Yeah.
Very good mouth. You had very good structure in your singing. I don't know where you learned that technique, but it was awesome.
I can't. Literally, I cannot tell anyone I know about this podcast now. Oh my God!
Well, especially the guys in the corral.
Yeah. No, so University of North Texas, and then studied, and then I went out and I've sung
New Zealand, Tokyo.
Yeah, New Zealand, Tokyo. Won a competition in Sicily. I've done stuff, just more. I sort of kind of went wherever the gigs were. There was not a lot of focus to my career because I came to it a little bit later. I'm also a chiropractor, and so I went away from singing, even though I kept doing it for a while to go back to school. Then I came back to it a little bit later after having been in practice for a while. But while I was in practice as a chiropractor, I was singing all over the world, much to the consternation of my patients because I would leave for like a month at a time. So, but that was sort of, I would just, end up singing with a symphony, and that person would say, "Hey, I'm directing another symphony in New Zealand," and then that person, somebody there would hear me and then say, "I've got this thing," and in Tokyo, and so I was very lucky to have opportunities just by, the old saying that 90% of success is just showing up, and knowing your music.
Well, you were a ringmaster too. Wait,
I was a ringmaster for Circus for 2 years. And that was
seriously,
yeah. That was. I always like to say in high school I was voted most likely to host a game show, so I ended up close to that. Being a
Blake does all our voiceover work for Redneck Tenors. Like anytime you hear,
any of the voices on our commercials or all that kind of stuff, that's always me doing the voiceover.
Okay.
For that, I was always, because I'm the lower voice, I was always in any show I was in, asked to be the announcer for the show. If they needed people introduced or announcements to be done, I was always that person. You always usually will have the lower voice to do that kind of thing. So that was also, but the ringmaster thing was just, I met a girl, and the guy she married wrote music for circuses, and I ended up getting recommended for that and did that for a couple of years. So yeah,
that's crazy.
Yeah, that was wild.
And he uses the word chiropractor. Yeah. That's his safe word for rehab.
Yeah.
When I got out of rehab, because the 80s were pretty rough on Blake. That's all I'm gonna say. And when you got a brother that's a dentist, you know what I mean? I'm just saying.
What is this, CIA stash? Good Lord. Oh my God.
What do people not know? And I guess I'll direct this towards Matt, because obviously you were involved in the show when three Redneck Tenors were on America's Got Talent. What do people not know about America's Got Talent, the viewer, as you're watching the show?
Not that much talent.
Yeah.
So it should be called America's Got.
America's Got, some people.
Right.
No.
From your experience on that show, because you and I talked about this extensively.
Listen, they were great in the sense that, they called us and reached out, because this was second season, so they weren't getting the throngs of people auditioning, because it was just second season.
Right. Yeah.
And I actually said no twice because, and both of you guys are younger than me, but you guys remember the Gong Show with Chuck Berry?
Yeah.
When I first heard about it and they called, I thought it was a gong show. And I said, I know you've seen Redneck Tenors online or whatever, but we're truly not a gong show act. Meaning I'm not going to subject us to getting gonged and kicked off the show. Yeah. We're legitimate singers first. And then it's just it's set in a ridiculous atmosphere.
Right.
Really good.
Yeah.
Basically, don't judge a book by its cover. That's sort of the premise of it. But they were very kind enough to put us on the show, and we made it into the final, 2010. The only thing I ever say about reality shows, they're not governed under the same thing like Jeopardy and Wheel of Fortune or any shows that are game shows. Are, if you remember the show Quiz Show about Van Buren, who was given the answers to the $64,000 question. And so they could keep him longer because he was an attractive contestant and a really good looking guy. Well, they found out that they were giving him, there were no laws against it yet, but they found out they were giving him the answers to perpetuate him being on the show longer.
Right.
And it's called the Van Buren Act now. You literally go to jail if you give answers for game shows.
Okay.
It's you can't do it. But reality shows are not governed under that. There's no governed under, they're not a game show. They're just a reality show. But all I ever say to anybody who really believes reality shows is put a camera in front of yourself and act like that there's no camera there. Doesn't exist.
Right.
Even for guys like us who are always in front of cameras.
Yeah.
We still are aware that we're on camera.
Sure.
You know, like I would never make fun of your act or say that it's not good if I knew there was a camera running. You know, I would never imply that Blake was in rehab for cocaine all through the 80s if I knew there was a camera running, you know? But that's reality. Is the minute there's a camera turned on, it ceases to be reality.
Right.
And there also have to be entertaining. So they have to create situations. To do Blake, we lost you. There you go.
There he is.
Where are you going?
There we go.
Are you doing anything?
He's there now. Blake,
Are you there, Blake? Can you hear us?
This is hysterical.
Yeah.
People need to know the backstory when we first started getting on the podcast here. While Blake was messing around while he's still playing.
Oh, goodness gracious.
There he is. He's back now.
Sorry.
You have to move the phone.
You are a dumpster fire with technology.
And tell him who he is for my show.
Yeah, he does social media.
My sound is gone.
We can hear you fine.
Yeah, now.
He can't hear us?
I'll be right back.
I can hear you. That's hilarious. That is so funny.
This is better anyway.
Yeah, I know.
So anyway.
So be sure to check out the two Redneck Tenors in Las Vegas at the Tropicana.
Pretty soon it'll just be Derek Richards and Matthew Lord live at the Tropicana.
But the thing is with reality shows
what I was
too
saying about reality shows when you watch them, remember they know there's like the Kardashians, they're not going to put anything on that show.
No,
America's
exactly.
Got Talent. Terry Fader won the year we were on, who's extremely talented and a really good guy.
Yeah.
And they do the best they can, but you just always have to know that it is a produced show. And they choose people. They chose me to be a villain. And they can edit. You sign things that say they can edit and create whatever they want for you.
Yeah.
But you okay that. You know what I mean?
Right.
And so I'm not saying it's not on the up and up. I'm not saying anything like that. All I'm saying is when you're watching a reality show, everybody knows they're on TV.
Well, they create the outcome, and they're always looking for a story. Yeah. And there's
backstory is the number one thing.
Exactly. I mean, a good friend of mine, Dave Landau, comedian, said AGT doesn't stand for America's Got Talent. It stands for America's Genetic Troubles.
Yeah, pretty much. Whoever wins the show, there's not.
It's
There's not a lot of branches to their family tree.
No, there isn't. Yeah. You know, the guy's got lobster hands or whatever, and he just happens to sing well. So it's like, oh, look, we found this freak.
I mean, the one that hurt my soul the most and people make fun of the most, and I think this was on Britain's Got Talent, but it's the same producers.
Right.
Susan Boyle. Do you know who I'm talking about?
Yep.
So, sang great. But she walks out. And honest to God, I swear he said this. Basically, Simon goes, "Oh my God, who would have known? You know, you look so horrible.
Oh God,
and you act he said the word retarded, and then you sing like this. That's the worst compliment I've ever heard anybody give.
Yeah.
You know, and she's standing there and they're saying, the way you look and the way you are, we cannot believe that you could sing like that, more or less even stand there in front of us.
This, by the way, is awesome that Blake keeps doing this.
I know. And I just thought that was mean. Like,
oh, it was extremely mean.
Singing, let her singing, but people like mean. You know,
right.
It's like people like to root. I swear that, and I don't know this for fact, but that they move some contestants along because more people like to watch and hate to vote off somebody than they do to actually like somebody. Like old football games for me was, I loved when the Raiders and the Cowboys lost because I hated them so much more than when the Steelers won.
Right.
Because I would rather see somebody I hate lose than somebody I love win. And I think they put contestants on there purposely that people want to vote off, and they'll keep watching till they're voted off.
It's crazy the way that dynamic works, the way society's mindset works with that. Now, Blake, I want to ask you this because we met on the ship, and you guys are doing a show called Not Really Three Tenors.
Yeah.
You've done a few different versions of this show with you and Matt and Jonathan. And there's another one that you were starting to do called The Tenors of Comedy. You were just kind of shifting some things around. And we were talking about this because you were mentioning doing the Three Redneck Tenors. You said, but we're not doing that on the cruise ship because the cruise lines didn't like the name.
Yeah. I mean, when I first joined the group, nobody had thought about doing cruises. Like the original business manager hadn't thought of it because nobody had done cruises before, and I had. And so when I first joined, I was like, oh my gosh, this act is perfect for a ship because the singing is good and it's funny and it's exactly what you would want. And it can be cut up in any way you want for a 45-minute show. You know, we could take a 2-hour show and then just pick the best stuff and do our show. And so I started making compilation videos and sending them out, and nothing was happening. I was sending it to agents. I was sending it to the actual lines themselves. And then I did this for about 5 years and could not get any traction until someone finally told me that it was the name. It was the word redneck, because the cruise lines they have a very exalted sense of themselves. And they were just like, oh, our clientele would never go to anything called redneck. Which, of course, go to Carnival Cruises. Give me a break. Everybody on there is a redneck. So
Carnival Cruises, Circus of the Sea, as my buddy, exactly. As a good friend of mine, Kenny Rogerson, puts it.
Yeah.
Yeah, their rooms are just a bucket and a blanket.
Yeah.
That's it.
Yeah.
And the bucket has never been used on the ship, ever.
No.
So I just kept sending the stuff until they told us that, and we had garnered a sort of a smaller agent at that time, a very little independent agency out of, I think they were out of Louisiana, but it was all I could get to talk to me. Yeah. And he just said you've got to change the name. And so we were literally standing on our very first cruise we got through him, and it was the American Queen on the Mississippi. That was literally the first cruise line we did.
Mark Twain paddle boat.
Yeah, the Mark Twain steamship. And we were standing there, and he came on to see the show, and he said, you've got to change the name. So we were standing there just talking about it, trying to come up with a name. And I said, well, we're not really Three Tenors. And we were like, oh, okay, well, that'll work. And so we became Not Really Three Tenors. And but it was just because,
for cruise lines.
Yeah, and the word redneck was a complete non-starter when it came to the cruise lines. And as soon as we changed the name, we did one showcase in early December, I'll never forget, in 2014. 5 days later, we got a call for our first cruise, and 12 days after that, we were on that cruise.
Yeah.
It was that fast from changing the name, and we were off and running. And then over the next 4 years, we did about 35 cruises.
Yeah, the elitist attitude that some of these cruise lines have with that stuff, which cracks me up, because you look at somebody like a Jeff Foxworthy, who was played at the most prestigious theaters in the country, and that's his whole that's his moniker, that's his thing. Larry the Cable Guy
for years was the #1 comedian, at least money maker,
right?
Yeah.
Well, we met on a cruise.
Yeah.
You and I, Derek, we met on a cruise. And do you remember how long we sat in that booth?
Oh, we ended up hanging out the next day, because you guys came out and saw the comedy show, because we were doing a late night comedy show. And then we ended up hanging out a little bit, and then we had breakfast the next day, sat in the booth through lunch.
And into dinner.
And people were walking
kept
back.
seeing us over and over again, like, haven't you moved?
And they're like, are you guys eating
People came in
again?
for 3 meals. 3 meals. The same people would come by, breakfast, lunch, and dinner. Like, you guys can't still be here. Did you leave? We're like, no, we just
sat there and laughed our asses off.
Oh my gosh!
And I had not seen your show yet because you guys were coming on. I think it was that night or the night after. So I had a chance to come and watch your show, and I was blown away. Absolutely blown away. I mean,
well,
you guys,
the Lincoln joke, making fun of Lincoln, you were the only one laughing in the audience.
That's right.
I do a joke where I say they boo me or they do something, and I go, man, if Lincoln was here, he'd have shot himself. And then I follow it with, because cruise lines, the people are really old.
Yeah.
And I follow it with, just because some of you were there when it happened, don't take it out on me. But the only voice you hear laughing
was me. I'm in the balcony howling.
Yeah.
And these people are all turning around and looking like, who the what?
Yeah. No, that was funny.
Dying laughing.
So great.
Such a
my
good
favorite
time.
Derek Richards story is, so Derek and Don Barnhart, who owns Jokesters and Delirious and several comedy venues, are kind enough now to say, Matt, come down and and it's only made my show better, our show better, the Tenors, come down and just try doing some stand-up, which is a whole different art form than what I do. And Tenors, similar yet completely different, you know. So I think we're into the end of the first week or whatever, and I'm there, and you kindly enough bring me a fifth of scotch. And then you do your act and come back, and I kindly enough finished the fifth of scotch.
Yes, you did.
And you look at me like, I can't believe you drank that. You know, and that's like handing somebody who's extremely suicidal a loaded gun and saying, I can't believe you shot yourself. Because I'm going, well, I guess I'll drink it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Apparently the word moderation doesn't exist.
Yeah.
No.
When it comes to you and a bottle of scotch, because I brought Blake a bottle of something and he had like a drink or two out of it, like a civilized, normal, non-caveman would do.
That's right.
And I mean, and you were just sweating scotch, sitting there. I'm like, oh my God, you killed this thing.
Yeah.
This bottle of scotch was scared.
Yeah.
And you know what I remember most about that night? Nothing.
Nothing.
Absolutely nothing.
Not a thing. You know what Blake remembers about that night?
Yeah.
Me giving you a bottle of scotch.
That's right. Exactly
I do remember us eating.
And I remember Blake looking at me going, he goes, you fucked up.
Tell me if I'm wrong. At some point, there was a chili dog in both of our mouths, and we ate our way to each other.
I have that.
Yes. We did do that.
Yes.
Like a lady in the tramp.
thing.
Lady in the Tramp.
Yeah.
Lady in the Tramp kind of thing with a chili dog downstairs.
Yeah. It's shocking that Disney didn't pick up that footage. You know?
Oh.
So someone's going to come see the show again, coming up August 2nd. Well, not now with the chili dog image that's stuck in your head. Enjoy unseeing that, people.
Yeah.
So someone's going to come see the show, Tropicana, Las Vegas, at the Laugh Factory, starting August 2nd through September 1st. Matt, give me the elevator pitch on this. Why should somebody come see this show? What can they expect?
There's nothing better to do at 6:30 in Vegas. What are you going to do?
That's the best pitch there is.
Yeah.
What else are you going to do?
Yeah, you're going to go see another CERT show. If you go see a CERT show, you're just supporting Putin and all them commie bastards. You do that, you are part of the Russian state. You know, CERT is it's the deep state. It's, you know, vaccines are bullshit. Yeah. No.
It should say on our poster, you don't go to our show, you end up there. So. That's good. That should be our tagline.
We're the best ninth option of something for you to do.
Yes.
In Las Vegas.
You got all these beautiful, pretty people singing in Vegas, all these beautiful girls and all these things. And when you look at them, you feel really good. You know, like Fantasy over at the Luxor.
Sure.
They're gorgeous and they're just beautiful young people and you feel good. When you come see our show, you're going to feel good about yourself. You're going to look up on stage and you're going to go, man, I could do that. Oh, yeah, I'm good, you know? I look at it this way. It's a 6:30 show. Come pregame with the Redneck Tenors.
Yeah.
Then you'll be ready to go all night. You just got to pregame with it. And you know what? We're not there to talk politics. We're not there to talk religion. We're not there to preach anything. We just hope you hear some good singing and get to laugh a bunch, get your drink on, have a good time. And it's, believe it or not, and Derek can attest to this, you won't know it from the podcast, but you could bring your mom to it. It's clean. It's
a family friendly.
It's a family friendly show.
Well,
you know, it's not a kid show.
Yeah.
But you can bring your kids if you want to it.
No, it's not offensive. I mean, you shouldn't bring your kids to Vegas anyway.
Yeah.
I remember when Vegas tried to get the families, bring the whole family.
Yeah, I know.
And then you're walking around Vegas and there's kids just sitting in the aisle crying while their parents, because they couldn't cross into where the casino was.
Right.
So it's just a bunch of crying kids.
Yeah, then the casinos realize that kids can't drink and they can't gamble. So nice job.
No. But, you know, we're just there. We want you to laugh, enjoy the music, and have a good time, and hopefully not learn a thing. We don't want you to learn a damn thing.
No.
We're all mobile homeschooled.
That's
Everybody is mobile homeschooled, baby.
Every child left behind. That's our motto.
Every single
What has been the biggest, how can I put this, biggest surprise when you were on the road doing the show?
How many people wear yoga pants that can't do yoga? I mean, it's an epidemic. Yeah. I would never fat shame anybody in this country because I think everybody's beautiful. But, you know, you can clothes shame because that's a choice, you know? Fix this. No one wants to see me in a mesh shirt and bicycle pants. No, nothing good. You know?
However, that is one of your costumes, if I'm not mistaken, because Blake sent me the costume changes here, and I see mesh shirt and bicycle pants.
Well, you know, yeah.
Well,
I mean, Blake, go ahead. What's the most amazing thing you've seen on the road?
Oh my gosh, that is such a great question. I've never even thought about it. Is just one of the things that, like I was talking about earlier, is the Matt hiring people not just based on the singing, but based on their personality and their sense of humor and how they mesh with each other. And one of the best compliments we ever get, and we get a lot more than I ever expected, is people would say the thing I enjoy most about your show is how much you enjoy each other. Mm-hmm. And they really do. People say that all the time, and it's true. We've said before that when we're on the road, we love being on the road, but our favorite time every day is on stage because it's just singing great music and laughing with your friends. And
we also all get along.
Yeah.
The reason all three of us get along so well on the road is we don't sweat the small stuff. We don't care where we stop and eat.
No.
If someone needs to stop, we stop.
Yeah.
We don't care about hotels. We don't. But the weirdest thing we ever did, we were doing Christmas in July in New Jersey.
Yes.
And we're driving, and a truck goes completely coming the other way, off the road, knocks down 2 telephone poles.
Yeah. And crashes into a tree and stops.
Dude had a heart attack, and at the moment, died in his truck.
Yeah.
Blake, being Mr. Helper, does not get out of our car.
I didn't see it happen, so I wasn't really sure. I was disoriented.
Jonathan, again, being another Mr. Helper, does not get out of the car. I get out of the car and go over, and there's a dead guy laying on the floor of this car.
Yeah.
The cops finally show up. I'm just sort of standing there, but I'm like, okay, the cops are here. My job is done. I check, to see. They can't get him out. And they go, hey, man, come on. I go, what do you mean, come on? They go, we need you to help us lift this dead guy out of the car.
Yeah.
I'm like, I'm just a dude. I'm a citizen dude. I don't lift dead guys out of cars. No, seriously, man. We not appreciate it. Come over here. And they basically stood outside the car while I got in and lifted this guy through the window of the car. And he's, blue and all that,
Yeah.
And I'm going, seriously? And they're like, their idea of helping was, okay, just a little more.
Yeah.
Come on, you're doing well. Come on, just a little bit more. Yeah, a little bit more. You got it. All right, there you go.
Yeah.
And Blake's over there with his coffee, just leaning on the van, you know.
Well, he's a chiropractor. What's he going to do? Adjust the dead guy's spine?
Yeah.
So, but here is not the coolest thing. I don't know when it was, Blake, but it was soon after that someone sent us a type out. The guy lived.
Well, while we were sitting there and they were starting to do CPR on him, we saw his arm start moving, and we knew he'd come back. And then we found out later at the show, somebody they called because we gave our phone number, and they called and said he lived.
Wow!
And then the article said, thanks to the heroic work of Blake Davidson and Jonathan Fruge and the local police department, he was extracted from the car.
Yeah.
And thank God that they were there to save his life.
Yes.
I got nothing.
No.
That's beautiful.
I got drool. I got vomit, urine.
Yeah.
Basically, it was because the cops.
Well, that's a typical night for you anyway.
Yeah. Well, yeah, but normally it's my own.
Yeah. Getting covered in drool and vomit and urine.
Well, only when my friends keep bringing me fifth of bottles of scotch.
Yeah.
That's not happening again. Not from this guy.
I mean,
I saw that powder keg.
Rehab, and you standing at the gates of my rehab with like a bottle of Johnny Walker. God, man, we've missed you.
I literally brought an Al Qaeda terrorist a suicide bomber vest that night. That was completely idiotic. Well, you guys had a scare. What was it? About a year and a half ago now, or almost 2 years ago? When you were up in Wyoming.
It was 3.5
and you
years
had
ago.
you had your RV.
Yeah.
And it you got caught in a windstorm or like the wind shear.
Tell it because I was actually lecturing Blake when it happened.
Yeah. He was lecturing me. He was giving me safety tips. So we had played a Garden City, Kansas, and we had to be 2 days later. We had to be in Helena, Montana, and so we decided to leave after the show and drive all night because we can switch off in the motorhome. He'll drive all night. I'll take over in the morning. So I went to sleep and slept till about 6 in the morning, and he had been driving through snow all night. And so I woke up about 6, and I went up and got in the passenger seat, and we were just sort of talking about all the snow and what the weather was like. And we're now north of Denver, going into Wyoming. And he started to give me, so I was about to take over the driving. He said, okay, so here's what you do. If you feel it sliding, you do da-da-da-da. And he was giving me all these safety tips. And while he's talking, I just absentmindedly reached up and just put my safety belt on, my seat belt on.
Right.
And all of a sudden, we just start sliding toward the median. And he steers into it. He does everything just right. And we get back on the road, and we're going straight now. We're doing great. And we were both like, whoo, that was close. And then all of a sudden, we just start turning around. And now we are sliding down the highway backwards in a motorhome going about 40 miles an hour. The speed limit was 80. So we were going way under. But we're literally sliding down backwards. And then as you do, there's no direction to sliding in ice. And we slid sort of off the road. And once we hit the dirt on the side of the road, it was sort of banked up. And just hit it, and bam! And the whole motorhome completely landed on its side.
That's insane.
And then,
none of you were really seriously injured.
No.
I had a bolt in my head.
Yeah.
And
he had like blood coming down.
And of course, Blake is just, he's on with one of his dating sites, still just hanging there. He looks like Tom Cruise in Mission Impossible.
Yeah.
If he's hanging in his seatbelt, no problem.
Yeah, I was on Tinder or Bumble or something like that.
Because he was in the bed above. And
Jonathan had nothing to hold on to because he's in the bed above the cab. There's nothing there. It's just So when we land on that side, he goes flying, and we hear him yelling. The TV, which was bolted up on one side, literally broke free and basically chased Jonathan across the motorhome to hit him and landed on him. And we found out it looked like he just bruised some ribs. We found out later he actually broke 3 ribs. And we did a show the next night. You can imagine trying to sing with 3 broken ribs and trying to, carry a third of a show. He was a real trooper.
Interesting enough, the concussion did not affect my performance whatsoever.
No. And I was completely unsure.
You actually got smarter.
Yeah.
The greatest thing was I'm lifting these guys out.
So we're now
that we're on the hatch is now on top of us.
Yeah, the door is now like a ceiling.
I'm bleeding and everything, and I get Jonathan and Blake out, and they get out, And finally, no one stops for us.
No.
Nobody.
At least
That's
40
insane.
cars passed us.
Yeah. I mean,
It
it
was so
truly
obvious
is.
And this is when? This is in the morning now?
Yeah. It is about 6:30 in the morning, and it was so obvious that it had just happened. We're on our side.
Steam coming up.
Smoke coming out of the tailpipe. It's so obvious that something bad just happened. Nothing.
Yeah, their motto is not Wyoming, the friendly state. It's pretty much Wyoming, go fuck yourself.
Yeah.
I mean, it's pretty much that right there, home of Dick Cheney. That's basically what it says right there. So they, just to get Jonathan checked out, and then
we went to the hospital.
Nobody concerned about me. I look like I just got out of Saw 4, you know. I'm still on top of the motorhome. They get in an ambulance and go to the hospital.
Yeah.
Of course, I'm still sitting in sub-zero weather on top of the motorhome going, hope you guys are okay.
Yeah.
Hope everything's good.
Yeah.
I can't believe nobody stopped. That blows me away.
I'm talking to the cop who shows up, and we're on an Indian reservation, so it's an Indian cop.
Right.
And a really good guy. He goes, oh, I know, man. This happens all the time right here because the winds are so high. I said, how about a sign? I go, because I was doing 40 and an 80.
Yeah.
And it was the wind. It wasn't.
Because, a motorhome is like a billboard. I mean, as soon as the wind hit it, it just takes you wherever it wants.
It's like a sailboat. Exactly.
This happens at least once a week. I go, how about a sign that says high winds possible?
Yeah.
Road may be icy. Well, I found out why they don't do that. He gave me a ticket for reckless driving. And I said, I was doing 40 and an 80. And he goes, man, that's how we make our money. He literally just said that to me.
Isn't that incredible?
Wow.
Yeah.
And it was sunny. It wasn't snowing. It wasn't anything. It just came out of nowhere. And if the wind didn't hit us, we would have still been fine, even though it was icy because we were driving straight.
You got a reckless driving ticket? How much wampum did that cost you?
$50.
Jeez.
That's a reckless driving ticket.
Yeah.
It was.
$50.
Well, it was $50, and I had to give them all the blankets that were inside the RV. But other than that, it was fine. I think Blake had a beaver pelt. We had a beaver pelt and a couple of, I don't know.
Oh, my God.
Was that wrong?
Yeah.
Was that wrong?
No.
No,
not at all.
One of the
I'll
greatest
take the
things...
blowback from all of our Indian fans, okay?
Yeah. No, one of the greatest things about it is once we went to the hospital, Matt stayed there with the RV, and we had called the cops, and the cops called a tow truck. So the tow truck pulls up and says to Matt, well, can you they said, okay, we got to pull it up on its wheels. So they literally threw chains over it. They literally pulled on it, and it came back onto its wheels. And the tow truck guy goes, can you drive it? And Matt goes, well, I don't know. Let's see. So we hopped in, started it up, and drove it into town. It had the seams where the motorhome, meets the thing. Those were torn open. It was like, sub-zero weather, so there's wind coming in there.
The mirror, there was no mirror. There was no,
no mirror on that side and stuff. But he literally drove it into town to the hospital where I was with Jonathan. Jonathan was just getting discharged. We hopped in it. We drove 45 minutes north to Casper and left it there for our friend Jack to come pick it up and drive it back home while we rented a car and did the rest of the tour.
And the beauty of the whole thing is I still have blood pouring down my face. And they're like, Matt, can you drive this? Do you mind? And fix the flat and working on the transmission for a while. And I'm like, I'm fine, man. I'll take care of it. You guys rest here at the hospital.
Yeah. Meantime, he looks like a melting candle. And
and the guys at the hospital just look at me and they're like, yeah, he's all right. Okay,
He'll be good.
Oh my God.
Yeah,
so
that was
funny.
That was quite a day.
That's insane. Well, glad you guys are okay. Excited that you're coming too.
That RV is going to be wrapped, with tenor logos and everything. Is the actual RV that rolled over that will be parked in front of the Tropicana.
Parked in front of the Trop with your logo on it. That's right.
Yeah.
You were telling me that was going to be.
And the blood stains are from me.
Yeah.
There's still blood stains on the front of it.
Believe me, there will be more.
But thank God that Blake and Jonathan are okay.
Yeah.
Thank God.
Believe me, by the time that month-long residency is over, those those bloodstains will be the least offensive thing on there.
Yeah, no.
They'll be so covered up with other bloodstains.
And with other bloodstains and whatever else happens in Las Vegas that we'd rather not go ahead and mention. But I'm excited that you guys are coming to town.
Well, we're excited you're going to be in the show, man.
Yeah.
I'm very, very pumped.
You
Super
know
pumped.
that you and Blake and I have been talking about somehow getting you into the show.
Yeah.
Because the one thing we're missing is a good camel joke. And you're the only one I know that finds that funny. So I felt that the camel joke will just catapult us to the next level.
I have a very niche market.
Yeah.
I just focus on jokes that appeal to maybe 1 or 2 people out of every 3 or 4 audiences.
Yeah.
And look where you are.
Yeah, you got the camel market covered.
We've all 3 climbed our way to the middle.
Yeah. I am.
Hanging on right
you're in the middle. I'm still down in the basement trying to.
This is how COVID affected my career. I go, what? There's a pandemic?
Yeah, I had no idea.
I had no idea.
Whatever.
Yeah.
I'm performing as much as I ever have.
Look at my wide open schedule. This is beautiful. Well, I'm super stoked you guys are going to be here in Las Vegas at the Tropicana inside the Laugh Factory. Go to troplv.com to get your tickets. Running or Ticketmaster, and it's running the entire month. You guys aren't taking any days off.
7 nights a week from
7 nights a week.
Through
that means we're working almost 8 hours a week.
Ooh.
That's exhausting.
Tiring.
Actually, 7 hours and seriously? What is he doing?
This is the best. I don't know what he's doing. This is great. Now he's upside down. That's even better.
It's like
you know what? Now he's sideways. This is the perfect way to end this. Had everything gone fine the rest of the way, man, I would have thought even better.
I know. It's like he's hiding from Nazis.
This is good.
It's like he's trying to get under the floorboards at the beginning of Inglourious Bastards.
Here's your other tenor, Anne Frank.
Yeah.
So funny. Dude, I am so excited. I'm so pumped that you guys are going to be here.
You're going to be there. You're actually going to talk before I do on stage.
Yes, I am. Looking forward to I see Blake trying to get back on. I'm not letting him back in.
No. What's the point?
No, he's not coming back in.
No, and Derek also gets to, he will be doing, all jokes aside, seriously, one of the funniest guys on the planet, and he's actually doing part of his act in the middle of the show also as a guest.
No, super, super, super excited.
So and you get to come out of the outhouse, which,
Why would I not want to do that?
Who wouldn't want to do that?
This is so funny.
So we're excited.
I'm looking off screen trying to get, and Blake is waving to try to get back on.
What's he doing?
He's just waving. And now he's shaking his head because he knows that I'm looking at him and just with like a disappointed father look.
Thank God he's in charge of our social media and all things electronic.
Do you want me to bring him back on or no?
Can you bring him back on?
Hang on. Let's see what happens here. This is great. There he is.
God,
there you go.
People keep calling.
You're a nightmare.
How do you keep this thing from screwing up when somebody calls you? I lose.
You get rid of your Grinder app, and it'll stop interrupting. Hit delete.
This is right around the time when all the activity happens.
Yeah, I guess so.
You're very
I lose volume every time somebody calls.
You're popular. You're adorable. I don't blame them. Why wouldn't they?
I can't help it. It's these devilish good looks.
Matt Lord, Blake Davidson, Jonathan Fruge, the 3 Redneck Tenors. Where can people find you on, dare I ask where they can find you on social media?
All right.
Since the social media guy keeps falling off the screen.
Yeah.
You'd be better off walking outside and seeing if a pigeon has a little sign attached to him.
I'm going to go buy a
the 3
sandwich
Redneck
board
Tenors.
and just walk around out front from now on.
All seriousness, where can people find you? Your website, social media.
The website is the number 3 rednecktenors.com, and on Instagram, Twitter, Snapchat, Facebook, we are at the number 3 Redneck Tenors.
And the Tropicana website. And
we're on the Tropicana website. If you go to the entertainment section and we're just right on there. We've got our videos up there now, and all the graphics and the dates and all that kind of stuff is on their website.
So excited to have you guys in town. This is going to be great. August 2nd through September 1st at the Laugh Factory at the Tropicana in Las Vegas. 3 Redneck Tenors, Matt Lord, Blake Davidson, Jonathan Fruge, who will be joining the show as well.
Derek Richards.
And myself, Derek Richards.
That's right.
Super stoked, you guys. Can't thank you enough for your time, man.
Right on, man. Thank you.
Listening to A Drink with Derek. Find out when Derek is appearing near you by checking out DerekRichards.com. See you next time for A Drink with Derek.